Well, good morning in the United States. It's afternoon here in Malawi, Africa, and this is Faith Prep Live from Africa. I'm Chuck Wolf, CEO, founder of Faith Academics and the Faith Prep program, and I am here with two of my esteemed colleagues and friends, Todd Mello and Dr. Sheila Benning, and we have had an amazing week in Malawi. If you've been following us on Facebook, you've seen a lot of posts and pictures of our interactions with the kids, with the Pothawira village. And it's been such an incredible opportunity and blessing for us to be able to come over here. We had a couple of objectives with our trip. One was to launch a pilot program for FaithPrep Africa and help bring online technology to the Pothawira Academy primary school to really help enhance the learning process for the students, to better prepare them for secondary school and the opportunities that are unknown to them at this time. Malawi is an interesting country. Education is free up through 8th grade, but after that, the government only provides education for those who score well enough on the national exam and are then placed in one of the secondary schools around the country. And they definitely have a shortage of schools. There's only 700 plus secondary schools in a country of 19 million individuals. And half of the population of Malawi is under the age of 16. Mm-hmm. So when you do the math on that, it tells you that there just aren't enough secondary schools for these students. So our desire is to help enhance the learning they're getting at the academy, to really prepare them for that national exam and put them in the best position possible for them to go on throughout high school and prepare themselves, hopefully, for even college beyond that. Our second objective was to introduce to them our character development concept called Faith Walk. And that is a central part of what we do at Faith Prep. And Todd Mello here is our Director of Character Formation, and this is something that he's been doing for many, many years in brick and mortar settings. And this last year, as we launched Faith Prep, we brought that into our online model, and we wanted to see how does that translate from the United States to a developing country with all the challenges around technology, learning, culture, language, etc. And so we've been able to do a lot this week. So we'll come to you in a minute, Todd, about the character, but Sheila, why don't you share a little bit about what we've done from an academic standpoint in the introduction of technology and what that was like for our students here.
Yeah, it's been so exciting to be here. The first day that we pulled in, we came upon just this sea of children, and they ran up to the van and were waving and then hugging us. So it's just been so wonderful to be here and finally be on the ground to do what we've been planning to do for quite a while. For the last several months, the administrators have been trained on the technology, how to use the platform, how to do the testing and the assessments. And so now to meet them in person and then be able to see it implemented was such a joy. So we brought the students in because, as Chuck said, when the students are in 8th grade, which is called Standard 8 here, they are tested by the nation, and then those scores determine where they go or if they go on to high school. And so we believe at Faith Prep that it's important to really prepare those 7th graders going into 8th grade to really be ready to score well in the national exam so that they have the best choices of schools to attend. And so we brought them into the computer lab, the technology lab, which has several computers, full internet, just like you would see in the States. So we're very thankful for this technology building and the technology center. And so the students came in and they took an arcade stride skills arcade assessment, which then assessed their level of English proficiency. And they took that test. And it was fun to see the data and some of the results and to see, wow, so many kids did well on it. And you know, it's about providing opportunity. We've talked a lot about if we can provide opportunity for students, it's amazing what they will be able to do for God and for the kingdom and for God's glory. So we brought the students in, we had them tested, and it was wonderful to see. Some of them hadn't been on a computer before, and so we were teaching them things like how do you use a mouse and how do you go left and right with the mouse. And I don't know about you, but the first time I used a mouse, I was kind of all over the place, and sometimes I'm still all over the place. But it was just great to see their excitement when they finally got onto the game platform that teaches English, and to hear them win those coins by answering questions. You'd hear the cha-ching, and you'd see the gold go on, and then they got points. And that was just wonderful to see how interactive it was and how they reacted to that.
Yeah, and so starting next school year in September, they will actually have access to a couple of courses online that again are designed hopefully to support and supplement their learning here. But one thing that we discovered, Sheila, was that there really is a need for the younger grades to have more exposure to English language, to reading, to hearing English. And again, these are children that many of them are orphaned, that are part of the village here. Many of them are coming from the communities around Pothawira that are extremely poor. And so obviously they don't have access to books. They don't really have access to other resources like that. But I see one of our elementary teachers is actually online. And Dr. Benning had a fabulous idea last night, and I talked to the headmaster today about it. He seemed pretty excited. Why don't you share what that would be?
Yeah, as you know, many educators in the States know that the younger students can learn the language, the easier and quicker it is for them to grasp, and then the more successful they'll be in the language when they're older. And so we thought how wonderful it would be if we could we have what's called Big Universe Library, with 24,000 books available online. What if we took time to begin meeting maybe once a week with the great bands here in Malawi and just had a reading time? I think many of you have probably seen statistics and studies on how important just reading to kids is. It teaches them the language. It breeds in them this lifelong desire to learn and to read. And the more they read, then the stronger they will be academically. And so what if we had a reading time with kids across the ocean? It wouldn't take but a little bit of time with us, but yet what a blessing and a benefit, not only for the students here in Malawi to learn English, but I feel that we're always changed when we have our students begin to serve and to give, and our teachers to help even across the ocean. God's created such a big world, and He wants us to love those people who are next to us, but then also those who are across the ocean as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I love that idea. And the other ideas are just kind of pinging in our head on ways we can continue to support. Understand that Pothawira has been really operational for about a decade. It started with about 125 children coming into orphan homes here. There was a medical clinic. A group of students at the University of Missouri raised the funds. They call themselves Mizzou for Malawi to build the primary school. We initially had only about 100 kids in the primary school. This year they had 475 students. And it was crazy to see that many students in this facility at one time. And it really warmed my heart, I know, because Debbie and I have been coming here for the last 12 years. And we stood on these grounds when it was just an empty field of dreams. And now to see this in the fullness of what it is with all of these kids is really amazing. So Todd, why don't you share a little bit just about the whole concept with the Heart of Faith assessment and the opportunity to teach a lesson today, and what that experience was like for you, and some reflections to share with our audience.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, the first day it was a little tough because of technology, right? Had a little bit some glitches here and there. We also had some language barriers that we had to deal with a little bit with the questions and so forth. But after that first session, it went really smoothly, and helping the kids understand. Probably the best part that I noticed were not the results, right? It was the fact that the locals in that moment, they got it. They understood it by the second session of the first day, and then them actually engaging. And they basically led the second day of training. I mean, we train them on what to do and what buttons to click and all those things. But they were literally side by side like this with their arm around the student, walking them through and pointing things out to them. To me, that was the best part of the entire process of the assessment part, because you don't want to come in and just boldly go through a door and say, this is how you're going to do it. Everybody does it differently. Everybody implements it differently. And so the locals embracing that is critical to the development of the student, because they know the students better than we do, you know? And so we're excited to see the results. We have them. I just haven't been able to compile them yet, right?
Been busy playing football,
Yeah.
and soccer, and being the camp counselor for the Pothawira.
And then so today, man, that's been 10 years in the making.
Yeah.
Like being able to teach the 7th graders, right, about their identity in Christ. It was special.
Yeah, we came in this morning
Yeah.
and they had a school assembly that was just filled with song and praise and dance and scripture, and a really great word from Mr. Sidney, one of the teachers, and even touched on character in his message, right?
About encouragement, yep.
Being encouragers out of Hebrews. And that was a perfect segue for the kids to go into the class and for Todd to lead them in a lesson around self-awareness. Why don't you share something?
Yeah, so we went through five bullet points basically on about self-awareness. We described what self-awareness is and understood that, but then we went through 5 points. And basically the first one is, I am made by God, right? I'm God's masterpiece. Therefore I look like God because we were made in God's image. Number 2, I'm a child of God, and so therefore he loves me. I'm his child. Number 3, I'm heard by God. He leads me if I allow him to lead me, right? Number 4, I can be forgiven by God because I can become the son or the daughter of the king by accepting Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And there were some Muslim kids in there, and so I was a little, I didn't want to, step on toes, but I'm just presenting the truth, right? And that's what we were doing. And so just an amazing experience being able to do that. And then the 5th one is, I have a job. God has given me a job. He's given all of us a job to do, right? The Great Commission, Matthew 28:19-20, but also Galatians 6:2, to get in the mud, right? To bear one another's burdens in order to fulfill the law of Christ. And so we talked about what the word bear means. We broke down scripture. We broke down word by word, helped them understand what those words mean. Because that's a huge translation barrier sometimes, reading the Bible and then being able to translate it back into exactly what it means. We talked about behaviors, what it means to pick up trash and how that impacts your country, impacts the orphanage, impacts the school, impacts their home, what it means to be nice to someone, what it means nice to cry with someone or offer a tissue or pick them up when they're down and they get hurt. Those are behaviors. And so really trying to simplify the assessment in its simplest form, right, by applying it to everyday life, whether you're in Malawi, whether you're in Indianapolis, whether you're in Colorado, or whether you're in Florida. Doesn't matter where you are, behavior is behavior, right? And everybody understands behavior.
That's a great point, Todd, about the universal application of the need for every community and country to have a generation of individuals rise up to become servant leaders.
Amen.
Right?
Yep.
And in fact, in Malawi, in Lilongwe, the capital, there's a bridge in the city center that has servant leadership put on that, and that was put there by the president, who happened to be the president of the Malawi Assemblies of God before God called him into politics. And he served as the minority leader for many years, and then 2 or 3 years ago was elected president. And that's I know the center of his heart.
Yes.
Is that his country's children would really grow up to become servant leaders, to be there to serve and care for and sacrifice and live selflessly for the benefit of others. And so, for some of these kids, what you shared today might have been the first time that they have begun to make a connection between how my actions impact others and what either a great opportunity and blessing that is, or how hurtful and damaging it can be, right? So there's a lot of responsibility. But the good news, literally, of the gospel is that God's grace is there to give us the power and strength to do that.
and helping them to understand they're not a mistake.
Right.
I mean, keep in mind that 30% of those kids in the school are from the orphanage here, right? And help them to understand you're not a mistake. You are not forgotten. You are heard. Understanding that you were planned. You were prepared. God worked overtime on you. Psalm 139, 13 through 18, right? I knit you together in your mother's womb. Help them to understand that everything made has a purpose, including you who are sitting here. And I saw a lot of eyes open to like, I'm not a mistake. Like, someone cares about me. I have a job. Like, wow, I have meaning. I have purpose. I have a job to do here on this earth. I'm not alone. And that, so it really saw a lot of light bulbs open.
It was so affirming to them. It was so affirming.
Amen.
Yeah, and one of the other things that was exciting about the day was, Sheila, you had just kind of an opportunity impromptu to just kind of go around to the different classrooms, right, and observe them. And why don't you share a little bit about what really got you excited when you stepped into the fourth?
As she does it, I'm going to go outside.
Yeah. Todd's going to go.
I'm going to go remote.
Yeah, I went through the different classrooms. They call them standard here. So we would call it grade 1, grade 2. They call it standard 1, standard 2, standard 3. And when I got to standard 4th grade, as you know, in the States, that's a very crucial time in education. Because in 3rd grade and below, you're learning to read. But by the time you get to 4th grade, you're reading to learn. So your reading needs to be very strong and solid, and you should be able to comprehend what you're reading. We got into the 4th grade classroom. There was a teacher there who's only been here 3 months, a recent graduate from a college in Malawi, and she was dynamic, just excellent. The way that she interacted with students, she asked higher level questioning. You could just feel the culture in the classroom that they knew that they could discuss and they could ask questions, and it was just such a great culture for learning. So I'm excited about that 4th grade class and what they'll continue to learn. But yeah, that teacher was just excellent.
Awesome.
Very strong teacher.
Well, very good. Well, we're going to take a few minutes here. We've had 4 really good-looking men step into the room here. And as Sheila had shared, that the administrators who are coordinating the FaithPrep Africa pilot went through training with Stride. So I want to take a minute to introduce you to each of them and then kind of recognize their efforts with a little reward. So we will start with, why don't we start with Francis, who also is known as Steve.
Yes.
And we could probably take 5 minutes for you to tell us the story of why they call you Steve and not Francis.
Okay, so my name is Francis Stephen Kajuma, but most people know the name Francis, not Steve, because I usually keep the name Stephen silent. I didn't want much people to know the name, so that's why I'm not known by Stevie, I'm known by Francis.
Okay, very good. And Francis is the one of the 2 directors over the Technology Center. The Technology Center was built last year. There was a group of individuals that rode their bikes across Malawi to raise the funds to build that center, and it was finally built last year and dedicated. And then Stephen and Patrick, who you'll meet in a minute, were hired to coordinate this, and they've been really instrumental in helping us get started. So,
And can I say something too about Francis? We came in the second day of testing, and we walked into this technology lab, and
Yourself.
They knew exactly where to go, and they were all set to test. And so I'm just very thankful this week, Francis, for just the help you've been in the technology lab, and just for that process and organization that you showed in allowing us to get all set up for testing. Even on the day we didn't have electricity.
So we want to award you with this certificate of achievement to Francis Kachoma for administrator training on Stride platform for the FaithPrep Africa pilot.
Well, thank you.
So thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Great. Patrick.
You haven't seen much of me.
No, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So Patrick, how do you pronounce your last name?
Chipeta.
Chipeta.
Yes.
So Patrick, as I said, is one of the two directors here. He went through the training this week as well. He was not able to spend as much time with us here as Francis or Steve, but you, I know, will be instrumental in the continued utilization of the computers and the platform, the programs, and it'll be such a blessing to the students. What are your thoughts as you think toward the future for how this program can help these students?
I feel like it will improve their communication skills in terms of English, and they will be more tech savvy as time goes by. So I think this program will really help these kids to avoid struggling when it comes to using the computer and when it comes to communicating in English.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
All right.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Light. So why don't you tell us your name?
Right, in 4 years.
Folius, Enlighten, you are actually working for the school, right?
Yeah.
Sort of. What's your role?
I'm the student affairs coordinator.
Student affairs coordinator. So what does that job entail? What's your primary responsibilities?
Most of the times I do coordinate like the activities at the school, as well as managing the kids, helping the kids in terms of behavior. Yeah, so I'm here to help out such things.
Great. Well, you're going to play an instrumental role, I'm sure, as kind of a liaison, right, between what happens over there in the academic building and what happens here. You're going to make sure that they behave well over there so that they can use the computers over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So you went through the training too. You also were a very effective translator for us this week. We really appreciate it, all that you did with that. So here is your award for the training completion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be awarded this certificate.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm very thankful.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, Emmanuel.
Yes.
So Emmanuel and I go way back. We've known each other now for about 12 years. So Emmanuel's father, Peter, and his wife, Emma, started Pothawira. And Emmanuel, you are the single boy
Yes.
in a family of how many girls?
8.
8. so 9 children.
Yeah.
And then there's Emmanuel. So he should get a certificate for that as well. But we don't have that. So, but I know over the years you've been involved with technology and were helpful when the school or the tech center was started, and we were grateful that you were able to go through the training too, because we know that it's going to take a lot of layers of support for this to be successful. So, and I know you're probably very proud of all that God has done through your family, right? You're a very humble family. You don't take credit for what God has done, but you've been here when it was just a dream.
Yes.
And now you see everything that's happening.
Yes, it's happening.
And what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, the system actually is very good. And I think these learners are going to benefit a lot from this institution. I mean, they are going to achieve their dreams, within this system, it's going to work.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so we really appreciate it for whatever you're doing at this institution.
Well, thank you,
Yeah,
Emmanuel.
thank you very much.
So here's your certificate of achievement for completion of the training.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What a blessing.
Thank you very much.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Well, that was really fun to spend the time. And as Sheila said, they've been so helpful in coordinating. In fact, the second day when we came back, they had all the computers set up. They had 2 tabs open for both the Heart of Faith assessment and the Stride class. And they were ready for the kids to jump right into it. So, hey, but it looks like we've got Todd out on the property. So I'm going to add him to the screen.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hey there.
Hold on.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Todd?
No, don't stand so close. Just stay right there. Stay right there. No, stay right there. Can you guys see him okay?
We can see.
Can you guys see him okay?
Yes.
These are my friends, Chuck and Sheila. Can you say hi, Mr. Chuck? Hi, Mrs. Sheila. Who are you? No, who are you? You are God's masterpiece. No, I am God's masterpiece. Yes, God's masterpiece. Look at my friends here. These guys are having a great time out here. This is like the courtyard here at near the orphanage, near the school. I know everybody wants to be on camera. Everybody wants to be the next, star and celebrity. Stay there. You see, okay? Stay there. Is that a better look? Can you see that better?
Yeah, looks like you've got a few leaders there who are stepping up to control things.
I'm trying.
Hey, Todd.
Can you guys see them okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Hey, tell everybody what you want the most. Tell everybody back home what you want the most. What do you want the most? What do you need the most? Don't hold that up. What do you guys need the most? What do you need the most? What do you want? What do you need the most? Ah. Yes. You guys want books? You want some books? I'm going to walk around here. I'll probably be followed by a mob.
Okay.
And it's not because I'm a celebrity. It's because I have a camera in my hand and they love cameras. I'm going to turn the camera around. You'll be able to see the school here, okay? There's the school. Hopefully you can see that, all right? Can you see that okay?
Perfect.
All right. This is the school here. Yep. Chuck, maybe talk a little bit about this building and what it means to you and how it all came about.
Yeah, as I said, that there were a group of students at the University of Missouri. My daughter was one of them. And when we were starting to build the facilities here, the Global Orphan Project, who was a big part of the initial inception of Pothawira, came to me and said, hey, we need to build a school. And the president knew my daughter and said, hey, let's call Libby and see if she would take on that initiative. So we did, and she and 3 friends started an organization. They would stand outside bars at night with collecting coins. They would have fundraisers. They would do different things. And then they raised $25,000 as college students to help build this school. And there was a matching grant from a church in South Florida that was a part of this. So it's a basic structure, but it's got 8 classrooms. It's got some administrative offices. You can see the kids now are in this wide open area that they use for like the school assembly today. And it's just been a blessing. They have church here on Sunday because Pothawira is a community initiative. So on site, there are 125 children that live in homes here. They're all orphans. Most of them are double, what in Africa you would call a double orphan, meaning both parents have died. Some of them are single orphans, which means one parent has died, but it's too difficult for the other parent to take care of the child, and so they come to Pothawira. There you go, future gymnast. But in addition to the orphan homes, we have a medical clinic where they see 200 to 300 patients a day. They just opened up a birthing center here, which is open. So the clinic and the birthing center are open 24/7, 7 days a week. So anyone in this region can come and get medical care at any time of day. In fact, last night, 2 babies were born at the birthing center. And another lady came in who had a baby. Hey guys, and we also have, and I don't know, Todd, if you want to eventually kind of wander that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna wander over towards the medical clinic right now. So you can exit me on the studio if you want.
All right, and I'll just finish up a broader description. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little dry. It's a little dry and dusty here. In addition to the medical side, they've built a maize mill where they go and they can grind their corn into flour, and they use that flour to make Salima, which is a staple that they have pretty much at every meal. And then
And that's open to the community.
Yes,
So the community comes in and brings.
Right, absolutely. It's actually a business. It's been open 1 year. It was profitable its first year. It'll continue to grow, obviously, as people become more aware of it. And the fact that it's next to the clinic creates some good cross awareness, because we want people to be able to access. And everything that Pothawira does here, they do at a very low cost. So even though it's a business, what they charge for the maize mill or the rice mill is much less than most commercial places. The clinic only charges a consulting fee, and then they get their prescriptions and medications for free. And that's significant. We just had a business meeting reviewing Pothawira operation as a whole, and 60% of the medical care costs are related to pharmaceuticals. But we're giving that away to everyone that needs it. And there are a lot of great partners back in the United States that are making all of this possible. So it looks like Todd is at the medical center. So let me bring him back into the screen. And Todd, are you there? There he is. Looks like he's walking down the waiting room. That may be, it looks like he's in the birthing center.
Yeah, there were 2 babies born this morning, right?
Right.
Last night,
Two
little babies.
And they have room for 20. And it's really critical. Like people say, oh, why do you focus on healthcare and education? Well, one, they need the healthcare to stay alive. I mean, Malawi is one of the poorest countries in the world, has the highest maternal mortality rate in the world. And so everything that we can do around basic healthcare and helping serve and love on mamas with their infants is critical. But once they do, get to that place where they're healthy, they need an education to have any hope for a future. And so that's why it's just really important for them to have access to quality healthcare like they do. So, and we were hoping to have either Baswell or Jimmy with us, but they're off doing errands. Those are 2 young men that grew up in the orphanage here. They went to the United States when they were juniors in high school. Both of them graduated from Christian high schools in Kansas City, and they are now at Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. And so they traveled here with us. Baswell will be here for the summer, working and spending a lot of time with a certain someone that's very special to him. And then Jimmy's going to be here for a month. And those 2 are really, they're like rock stars to these kids, right? Because they represent the pinnacle of what hope could be for them, right? To be able to leave a place like Malawi, to go get an education in America, but then to come back. So their intentions are not to stay in America, but to come back and serve their country.
Yeah, and it's just been wonderful because we all met up in Chicago and then flew out together to London and then on to Ethiopia, then Malawi. And so we got to spend a lot of time with Jimmy and Boswell. And it's just wonderful to see that they grew up here in Malawi, have such a passion and a burden for their country, to pour into it. And I tell you, they are just so sharp, such incredible godly men, and just true servants. And so just a great example of what we want these students to become, really.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, you know, I put a little crawl down there about if anyone feels led, they can donate to the FaithPrep Malawi initiative at that website, malawi.faithprep.com. We've already raised all of our money for our trip, right? So anything that people donate will further go to the project here. Because one thing we learned, like, gosh, they could really use some tablets and laptops in addition to the computers they have. They could use some headphones so that they can not only read the books, but hear it spoken to them in English. So to our friends out there, we may be coming back at you with a little, an additional ask or campaign to support what's happening here. And people have to always know that 100% of everything that is donated through Pothawira International goes to Malawi. There isn't a single penny of what you donate that's used for any administrative costs in the United States. That's all covered by other benefactors, because we want people to know that if you support the project in Malawi, that your support fully goes directly to what's happening here on the ground. Looks like Todd's having a little data issue getting connected in. As Sheila said, the first day we were here, we had no electricity. The grid usually goes out often. We've been fortunate. It went up the first day.
And we've had it.
And we've had it the rest of the week. So that's been really amazing. So I don't know if Todd's going to be able to give in. Any final thoughts, Sheila, or anything else you want to share about your week, your experience?
Yeah, I will tell you, it's just been, again, so eye-opening and just fulfilling to be back here, it's my first time here, my second time in Africa, but just to realize all that God's doing through the Maseko family here, through the vision that Chuck and Deb, his wife, have had, and how they've poured into this community for the past 14 years.
Yeah.
And just to see what God's doing. And we heard story after story after story of how God's hand is clearly on this ministry. And, you know, these Malawian children have so much potential. And I'm just thankful that we can play even a small part in providing an opportunity for them that can hopefully grow into something bigger and really change their lives. And of course, the more we can change their lives, the more they can impact those around them and hopefully even change the trajectory of a nation.
Right, yeah. Our tagline is change a nation through education. And we're excited about it. In fact, my wife Debbie is next door doing a leadership development training session with the executive team. So I know she'll probably not like this, but I'm going to just go over and interrupt her training so that you can at least see the leaders and see. She's probably right in the middle of the most critical. Hi there. Just bear with me. I just wanted to give an opportunity for everybody to see they're in the middle of a training session, and this is an amazing executive team. I've shared the story of Pothawira and the family and everything. So I just wanted all of our people back in the United States who are watching to be able to see you. Have you say hello to them. How's the training going?
Fantastic. Ask them. They're the students.
All right. They're the students. You're enjoying it?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for letting me bust in, but keep learning. All right.
This is our technology lab as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the technology lab. So you can see the computers along. It's got the projector, the big table. So it's a great learning space for both students and adults.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, that gave you a little bit of a flavor. I guess we could stand out here maybe and give you, I can't go too far or else I'll lose connection, but you can see there's the water tower. That's back toward the medical clinic. It's just a beautiful country. Some mountains, the sunrises and the sunsets have been amazing. And so Todd, you want to have any final words here before we?
No, it's just I don't know. So you can see I'm in studio, but it's not connecting. But it's all right. We had the medical clinic, and it's probably good because we might have violated some HIPAA.
You're going to see hippos next week.
We might have violated some HIPAA violations because there were government officials walking into the medical clinic,
That's good.
and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna just put that camera down so I'm not showing any
plan.
patients.
Newsflash:
Right.
Americans
So,
arrested.
and my mom, who might be watching, she might have thought I got kidnapped or something because I went off camera pretty quick, right? So, Mom, I'm okay, just so you know. No, it's just beautiful facility.
Right.
I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous here.
Yeah.
The people, are just beautiful in their spirit and their joy. Their joy is so contagious.
It is.
I mean, here's the thing, guys. They don't have two nickels to rub together.
Mhm.
This is the 5th poorest country in the entire world.
Yeah.
5th poorest country in the entire world. Think about that. And you look at what they have or what they don't have, but yet they have the most important thing, and that's joy.
You do.
Right? They have
Yeah.
joy.
A
They have
richness of community
Yes.
Yeah.
and blessing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely incredible. And we take that for granted.
We
And
do.
sometimes
We
we actually dismiss it, don't we?
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And which is unfortunate because at the heart of our salvation is the joy of the Lord.
Absolutely.
And if we're not sharing that, if we're not experiencing that, then our Christian walk is so less effective than it ever should
Right.
be.
Right. Awesome. Those are good words to end on.
Yeah,
So-
can I just say too,
Yep.
we're really thankful too for Krista, who's here on our team as well, and my husband Dan is here.
Yeah.
So just so wonderful to have Chuck's wife and then Krista and Dan join our team as well this week. Of course, Debbie's always been a part of the ministry.
Right. But
to have Krista
what a
and Dan.
blessing. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you, or Zikomo, as we say in Chichewa. We love and appreciate all who are watching. Thank you for being part of this day. Go have a blessed day. Look for more pictures, more stories throughout the weekend. And we will see you soon on another edition of Faith Prep Live.